Okay, here I am, Ken. Same day as the other ones. YouTube would not allow me to make any more. Said I hit my limit of videos, and then they wanted me to give them a copy of a picture ID. Well, why don't I just give them my social security number and my firstborn, just so I could put a few more videos on. Well, they gave me three choices, and I took one that seemed to shot in the dark, and apparently it worked. And the last one, number 19, before this, it took from this morning at about 1:30. I couldn't get it on. I finished it about that time, and it's now the same day, February 22nd, 2025. That it right now it's about 7:45 p.m. and this is a Friday, and I'm just biting at the bit to talk more, to teach more. I've been up, and I see I'm getting, well, you don't, when you're gray everywhere, you really don't get a 5 o'clock shadow. I get a 5 o'clock cloud because it's white. And I don't have a heavy beard anyway. And I'm glad. In fact, I'd like to have more of a mustache than I do have. But I had a little stupid accident. I can't believe I did this. But I've been tired and in a hurry. I have a burn barrel, and I went to light it by, instead of putting like kerosene in it, I put something much more volatile. And when I put a match to it, although I was leaning far away from it, it went poof, and it burned my hair. That's why it sticks up. Took a little bit of mustache and eyebrows, because it came at that side. So my mustache is my personality. It's almost like my manhood. After a while, I don't have much left to prove it, muscle-wise and things. But anyway, I wanted to give you more, and so I'm back. In the time, I've just spent 2.5 minutes telling you that, but I want to have a relaxed talk to you. And with that, I'm going to put on my thinking cap. And I feel a coughing jag coming on. See if I can head it off. Lord help me in Christ's name. I have so much to share. And I was just reviewing this early this afternoon's number 19 video, and so it's fresh in my head, and I'd like to attach to it. So this would be number 20 of all my videos, chronologically, let's say. But this is also the heading will be the Mystery of Iniquity, Part 5. 5. The count says 5. Anyway, we were talking about, and I was showing you things, and I was getting thoughts, and I'm looking at this paper again here. This paper, this is my collage I did when I had my old computer, and I could still get. Adobe still worked on it. Adobe so far doesn't fit on Mac machines. So I like photography, and I have a good Nikon. Anyway, I'm going to check with. I've had this Mac for about 4 years now, I guess. Maybe, and they can't come up with a way I can hook up with any kind of an application that'll fit Mac for doing photos, and you would think you're kidding me. But I called Apple, talked to representatives personally like a year or so ago, and they tried to get me, but it just wouldn't accept it. Now, I don't mind buying it. I'm not looking for something free. I would love to start working with photographs and things. But anyway, this is mine, and this was in the other video, and again, it's so important. My point is, all along, guys, I'll just see if I can keep it up while I talk to you. All along, it's more important on this side, I think. Oh no, because there's my penny farthing bike. All along, I have been preaching and using a wheel, a bicycle wheel with spokes, as representative of the complexity of these issues that are in front of us. I mean, issues that go back to and much further before JFK. Issues that I'm saying to you right now, in my humble opinion, it was the Illuminati under Satan who killed our President JFK. And what I'm going to do is, there is a video right now in which he's talking about, he calls it a monolithic society or group that that lives and works in secret and by night. And obviously, he was telling the country and the world, if he can, he was going to stop it. Well, the plan of the Illuminati I think, goes back to 400 or 500 years before our Lord Jesus Christ. So it is an old plan, way established, dug in like an Alabama tick. And I borrowed that from the movie Alien. Is it Alien? Yeah. No. I forget. Not the Alien one, but the other one. Anyway, Alabama tick thing, dug in. That's the same. But I don't want to waste time, and I have to get... But this is really a telling thing. These are FEMA coffins. Okay, this is a FEMA coffin. Where the heck is it? Where can I point to? There it is, okay? I'm just going to put it in front of my face if I have to. FEMA coffin. One right there. See them back in the background? They're stacked like this, like Dixie cups. Well, how many do they have? Well, let's go over here. This is an aerial shot of at least one of two, and probably more, spread across the United States, of a FEMA coffin, like these actually, from the air. How many do you think's there, guys? How many FEMA coffins that you and I have never heard about are stacked up and ready for what? Well, they're coffins. They're just containers to throw dead bodies in, like they're sacks of wheat. Okay, this woman here that's looking in this one. How many of her do you think you can get in there if you're just throwing in dead bodies? You probably get 6 or 8. Put a lid on it and bury it or burn it. Well, my point of it is, as I hold this up, you must ask yourself the question, why have they been planning, spending a lot of money on coffins, plastic coffins? We call them FEMA coffins. They lie and they call them different things. But, rosebud and any other names, smells just as sweet. But look at those. Look how many. What's 100,000? There, 200,000? I'm going to put this down. But you must ask yourself, why? Well, Apophis is is one of my theories, and I believe it's true and it's urgent. NASA, not the Christian church and not Christian people or some big church, mega church. No, NASA, the government, secular government, about as far away from Christianity as you can get, came out and told us in 2004 there's a big asteroid coming our way. They said that there was a chance back then that it could hit Earth. And how big is this Apophis? It's the size of the Rose Bowl, or maybe 2 or 3 Rose Bowls big. And NASA says, well, and not only that, but we're going to tell you where, if it hits, it's going to hit just off the west coast of Southern California, just above Mexico. But in the Pacific, how far in the Pacific? Between 300 and 500 kilometers, or 1,000 meters is a kilometer. And a click. In the Army, we call it a click. We didn't move by miles, we moved by clicks, which was a kilometer, 1,000 meters. Anyway, let me do this for you. Convert 1 kilometer into a miles.
It's 0.62 miles.
Okay, so it's a little over a half a mile for a kilometer. So 500 kilometers would be about 250 miles off the shore. But something the size of a small city coming from space and hitting the Pacific Ocean is going to do what? Well, it's going to do a lot of bad things. One thing it's going to do is cause tsunamis. And some other things, it's going to, of course, trigger the San Andreas and all the other faults. And it's going to trigger the huge, super duper volcano that nobody generally thinks of as a volcano, and it's called Yellowstone. Yellowstone is such a big volcano, they give them special names when they're that big and bigger. It's called a caldera. So when that goes off after the impact, because let's not go there. We're going to have so much in the sky. You know, the impact of Apophis, just off the southern coast of California, well, if there's ever a chance of the whole California falling in the ocean, that'll be the time. And a fellow you should look up who's associated, an unofficial spokesman in my humble opinion, is Neil deGrasse Tyson. He is an earned PhD and he is a doctor of astrophysics, and he's the unofficial spokesman. He talks a good bit about Apophis, and I at least have half a dozen of him saved, and he does alter how he talks about it passing us. Now, NASA, aka Neil deGrasse Tyson, says now he says that even it's due to pass. They have a firm date, Friday the 13th, April the 13th, 2029. That's 4 years away. And now we've had, I believe, and I'm just going to say it, God has been talking to us, the Christians, the body, and a good, very hyper intelligent, I think, doctor. I imagine a doctor of theology, ex-pastor, named Thomas Horn, Dr. Thomas Horn, or Tom Horn, has at least 3 books out on Apophis. And I think he's absolutely right when he says Apophis has another name and another place where you can get information. Well, what's that all about? Well, in Revelation, God says, there is an asteroid that God names Wormwood, W-O-R-M-W-O-O-D, one word, Wormwood. It's an asteroid and it's going to hit. Now, it doesn't say, God's word doesn't say where or even when, but this is how NASA, a secular, comes in and dovetails with the Bible. NASA, Scripture. They fit. NASA tells us where and when. Because the things in the universe are, well, we keep time by the sun and the moon and seasons. The universe is clockwork. So they know its speed because they can, and they know its trajectory because they're telling you if it hits where it's going to hit and what day it's going to hit. The what day, not what year or what month. April 13th, 2029, it's going to hit the ocean. 250 miles maybe, somewhere around 250 miles in the Pacific Ocean just off the southern coast of California. So you're going to have a tsunami. Now, what happens when people get taken out? Like 10 years ago, we had a bad earthquake that set up a big tsunami, killed, I think it was 250,000 people, like around the Philippines and that. I'm sure you know it. You can research it. It killed quarter to 500,000 people, all drowned. Well, after the sea and the ocean takes you and drowns you while you're, still over land, and then it pulls your bodies out to the ocean. But then after a while, those dead bodies start coming back in on land. And hey, you got to get rid of them. They're decaying flesh, horrible smell, and what an increase of possible disease from rotting flesh. And guess what? What's good? What are you going to have to do with all these? I'm sure millions. This tsunami is said to be maybe a mile high, maybe more. That's going to result from the impact of Apophis / wormwood. Now, from this point on, as I talk about it, I'm going to give two names, but it's the same asteroid. Okay, so I'm going to call it Apophis wormwood. So Apophis wormwood's going to put out a mile high to maybe bigger, maybe 3 miles high, tsunami. Well, that tsunami is, like I said, it's going to drown. Most of the population of the world lives on seashores. I mean, Pittsburgh itself is at the confluence of Ohio. Well, it's on the, and that's the confluence of making the two. We've got 3 rivers here. That's why our stadium's called Three Rivers Stadium. Why? Because it's a confluence of, which means the beginning of, the Ohio River. So we got Allegheny River, and then on the other side we got the Monongahela River, and they meet, together, and from that point on, it's the Ohio River. But notice we have a city. I think Cleveland is on water. Chicago's on water. It's human beings need water, and water is also a great way of not just drinking, but of food supply through fishing and such, and also transportation. You're going to ship something heavy across the ocean. That's just it. The ocean is a conveyance, or a part of the conveyance set up for heavy stuff. That's why our ships we have so many ships. We need water, and on water we can move things, heavy things. So my point is most of the world's population is on our west coast, our east coast, okay? Would be on the coastline of Africa, the west coast of Africa, and I'm sure also the east coast. But since it's going to hit in the Pacific, Apophis wormwood, and it's so big, and the tsunami is going to be so huge, it's going to kill everybody in Hawaii and the Hawaiian Islands too. You're gone, folks. Now, I don't know. You got a relative and you half believe what I'm saying. You better tell people about this, or have them tune into me and listen to me go on about it. This is a warning. This is brand new, hot off the press. Now, people, by the way, are beginning to talk about certain things. So a month or two ago, it seemed like I was the only one talking about this, besides, the late Tom Horn's deceased. He died at about age 68, Dr. Tom Horn. But he's the author of, let's say, the theory that Apophis is wormwood. And between the two, we know when and where it's going to hit. The Bible, by the way, says it's not going to pass. Wormwood's going to hit. When God says something's going to hit or pass, whatever God says, it is going to happen. It will happen. It's fait accompli. But let me think here. A done deal. Anyway, so this also is part of the spokes in the wheel. This is a picture of a bicycle wheel, and behind me is a penny farthing bike. But look at all the spokes. You know, look at all the spokes. That represents, and this represents issues that are so complicated through lies and intrigue and through misdirections and misdirectives that to explain it to somebody, you got to sit them down. And that's what we're doing right now. So I'm giving you a practical example of how complicated these things, or the mystery of iniquity, is. Kennedy being assassinated is complicated. Oswald didn't do it. And if you've ever watched much of, the Sopranos and things, or any mob movies, you know that they get a patsy to hold a bag, to hold the bag, let's say, and then they get everything directed to him as being the perpetrator, but they hurry up and kill him before he can talk. Well, that's Oswald. And who shot Oswald? A Tony Soprano type. Seriously, he was in the mob. They mentioned it back in '63. Yeah, yeah, '63. That he was associated with the mob. They didn't go into it, but they mentioned it back then. Even his name's Jack Ruby. Well, I'm sure they made Jack Ruby an offer he couldn't refuse. So what he did, and they made him do, I'm sure, is to go on live television, pull out his gun, and shoot and murder Oswald right on the spot. And you can see that picture, or even that video, anytime you want to look it up. Jack Ruby shooting Oswald. I think, what was the next day? They kept him on ice so he couldn't. I'm sure he could have defended himself enough to put out, but they can't let him live long enough to represent himself. So they off you, and they offed him. And but see, that's the spokes on these wheels are, I call it, really strings. Nothing happens of that of that size without a lot of strings attached to it, if you try to explain. Now, I have nothing better allegorically than a spoked wheel like that to demonstrate how things are complicated. The Illuminati is running the world, and has been. You can't have a 2,400-year secret institution slowly behind the scenes. 2,400 or 500 years, a long time to grow. And the Illuminati has grown. It holds all the wealth and all the power. And you and I aren't going to beat it. You and I, at this point, Illuminati's already won. Our country's gone. And there's a big death coming. Why do I say so? Well, because of the Deagle report that says in 2025, you can look it up. Just type in Deagle report, DEAGEL, and you'll go to maybe photographs or images, and you'll be seeing what I just showed you. That we're going to lose in America between 250 and 300 million people, and you got to put how. Well, again, tsunamis. There'll be other kinds of deaths. But I'm thinking tsunamis because that's where people live, right on the seashore, okay, and close. That's where commerce is. That's where, commerce. And so all these FEMA coffins holding, depending on the age and size of if there's children, you can get probably 20 children's, grade school children's bodies in one of these things. They're bigger. And they have lids. There's the lid. And you got to ask, come on, man. This is again what I've been trying to say. This world is highly complicated with lies and with murder, murderous intent. Now, they can't stop Apophis wormwood. Our governments can't stop it. They're not even trying. And Satan knows more about the sky and what's coming in because he's not bound to the earth. I think, in fact, the planet Saturn is is AKA also known as uh, Lucifer, Satan, and and Saturn's worshipped in the Old Testament, not the Old Testament. It's worshipped in ancient societies. Now, of course, they have different names, but I think it would be called Saturn for the both Greek and Roman ancient cultures because they worship Saturn. They worship other planetary things, but I think that might be the home office of the fallen angels. And but anyway, uh, uh, again, the point of it is, I'm here to try to smooth the wrinkles out so you can follow and understand. These pictures alone, these pictures alone demand. If you got a brain in your head, your death is coming. This isn't made up, photoshopped. You understand? It's not. And I could show it. I have the video and file of him like coming down in procession and setting up in front of that specter of a thing and giving his little talk. And what's this all about? And there's no Roman crosses on the Pope. They're just crosses. Those crosses can be found on ancient carvings, stone carvings, monoliths of ancient gods. And what I'll do is I'll print one up and and I'll show it to you like I show you this stuff. So I just presented to you enough information and frankly proof. You don't want to die. You don't want to be I mean, these people, we're suckers. We're stupid cattle waiting to be slaughtered. And to tell you the truth, if I wasn't getting, and the church wasn't getting raptured out of here, we would be killed alongside of everybody else. Okay? If there was no rapture at all, both me and Molly Cyrus, who runs around naked, 3/4 naked, the old Hannah Montana, shoving it in everybody's face and pretending she has a man's member. Oh, what a pig! I think she's possessed, or she's not even her anymore. But that's another time. Okay, 28 minutes. I also fight and try very hard to keep this under 30 minutes. So I'm making my point of the complexity, and this is not conspiracy theory. This is rational deduction. You deduce, you figure out things. This sort of stuff should not be. I haven't even mentioned this. They're called the Georgia Guidestones. They were there for like 20 years talking about a new world order, giving 10 new commandments for this new world order. But just, I think last year they tore them down. Well, why did they tear them down after 20 years or so? And they were in Georgia, and they were Guidestones because they informed us of a new religion that was going to be running the world. So I guess after the impact. The impact also, according to Revelation, wormwood. Wormwood is supposed to kill a third of the world's landmass and I guess people on it. Well, you know, if you add North America, Canada, United States, Mexico, and then South America, that continental mass there of all the combination equals a third of the world's landmass. And what? And the things, and wormwood's supposed to hit right off the California coast. There will be nothing left of that part of America or Mexico. So if you're out there, my friend, and God blesses you, and you wake up enough to watch me, hey, I tell you the truth, I don't think anybody out there that I have come across, and that's all I do all day long is gather information, think about things. I have not seen anybody go this far, this deep. I'm sort of a spearhead. And I'm not saying that out of pride. I can go a little too far and they'll take me off, or they'll just get really pissed, excuse the language, and they'll whack me. I mean, I'm just holding on to life as a thread. You give me strong tea and I'm going to die on you probably. I mean, it's not easy. I'm a pushover for death. But the Lord's been keeping me alive. I thought I was dying when I wrote my book. That's why my book was published in 09, 08 or 09. And I thought I was dying soon, so I wrote it as a legacy, something I leave behind to my children. Even back then, I was getting a bad rap, and so I wrote my book with my, and as I do now talking to you, with my heart on my sleeve. Okay, you want to know who Ken Marchalinsky is? Read my book or watch me here. And but anyway, 31 minutes. Got to wrap this up. So, like the old penny farthing bicycle wheel, all those spokes, every issue, the issue of FEMA being in collusion with the Freemasonry symbol, hauling in a truck, hauling FEMA, a Masonic truck line is hauling FEMA coffins. And there they are close up, and across here and here, and here they are from an aerial view, and it's not the only location. They have more than that. That has got to it's a question that must be answered. Now, through me and through Tom Horn, who's deceased, I think because God was done with him. I asked the Lord, why would you allow him to die of a heart attack just before the rapture? He died, it's going to be like 2 years by the time the rapture, under 2 years from his death, by the time his timing of the rapture of October this year happens. Why not give him a couple more years and, bless him with the rapture? You really don't die in the rapture like we die, because the body's going up, if I understand correctly. Or maybe the body goes up, because we're going to be missing. And it's going to be just like Christ, when Christ went up to heaven, and his ascension. And there's 2 other Old Testament saints that went up in the ascension, and they were found no more. One was Enoch, I believe, and the other one was Elijah. They were, with a wheel within a wheel and things like that. And the Bible says they looked around, they couldn't find the guys. Also, let me clue you in if you like theology. What's happening now is that something that has consistently been attempted by fallen angels, and that's the assimilating Star Trek word, assimilating humanity into fallen creatures. Now, we're already fallen, but if you're fully human, you could still be saved because Christ died for fully human people. However, there's something out there that can change your DNA. And at this time, I won't be any more specific. That your DNA gets changed, and before you get saved, I don't think you qualify for salvation, because Christ did not die for hybrid people. I don't care how human you look and sound and act. You're no longer fully human. That's another issue, in another day. Okay, 34 minutes is expired, and so I'm going to wrap this up. I'll probably do another one. It's 8:15 p.m. right now. But I am tired. I've been at this since 6 this morning. And no nappy poos for me today. Us old geezers, we take our naps, man. But I've been fighting also days of insomnia. And I personally think it might be God inspiring me to do this. This is about my 8th or 10th video this day. I've been yapping all day long, and it's tiring. And I have to think. I'm not reading this stuff to you. I'm pulling it out of my memory, and I'm trying to put it in such an orderly way that you can follow me. If I frustrate you by bad teaching and explanation, you're leaving and you're not coming back. I don't want that. There's things you have to know. If this raptures this October, you're saved. You're locked in. Fine. But those beloved people are going to be left behind that you love. Go give it the try, the old college try. Get all jacked up over preaching the gospel and go do it. And so what? They yell at you that you might end up casting pearl before a few swines and dogs, pigs, and so they'll turn around and they'll rend you. I've been hurt by people. Only once or twice have I had people turn on me and attack me. I mean, it's just like it was like a movie. I'm talking, I began to maneuver them, and they sensed it, and they turned on me, and it was basically like they were vampires, cursing, MFing, son of a and loud voice. One was my best man at my wedding, and I was his best man at his wedding. Yes, I was. Grade school friend. Good Catholic. And I won't uncover him anymore. But not saved. And when I began to bring the gospel, the demon that so much possesses him or obsesses him through sex, actually, turned on me. It knocked me out. And we grew up. I could beat 3 of him with myself in a fight. So that was unusual because, people that consider you someone that could easily kick their butts, you don't turn on like he turned on me. Plus, we were best men. I love the guy, but that was it. He eventually left his wife and 3 kids. Stone cold. It all comes down to 3 letters. SEX, baby. Powerful, powerful, powerful uh, pressure on a man, and on women, but mainly men. We're a mess. I feel better as being this soul. At 75, I don't care. I'm not going to do anything. I don't even want to look anymore, basically. And you men know what I'm talking about, and some of you women too. Okay, God bless you. Good night. And I might get one more in. Again, the time right now is 8:20 p.m., Friday, the 21st of February, 2025. And I take off my Tom Terrific thinking cap and say good night for this one. God bless you. Come to Christ if you're not already belong to him. Ask him to save you from your sins, and then believe he will simply for the asking. Now, again, good night.